When lawyers walk, something is wrong.
We've been talking about justice for a long, long time. And of course, we all know where it all started. It started with 1988. If there's any junior member of the bar who doesn't know what 88 is about, you should find out. Because that's where the rot started. And we have not recovered. It'll be 20 years next year, by the way. 20 years next year.
Madam Chairman, Ambika Srinivasan. If I could just go back, to the 1988 crisis, and first let me start by saying that the 1988 judiciary crisis will always be called the 1988 judiciary crisis. Even in 100 years' time, it will be known as the 1988 judiciary crisis. We just haven't got over it. And the only way we're going to get over it is to get a Royal Commission appointed. Dr. Sri, I lived through that period. I was only a lawyer of 5 years at that time. But even to my young mind, the charges that were preferred against these judges were ridiculous. They were horrendous. And I would ask you, Dr. Sri, as a lawyer, when you look at them, I have no doubt you will come to the same conclusion. So that is one of the things we will have to convince you, Dr. Sri, and we hope to do that by showing you those charges. Because I can tell you, you wouldn't sack your driver on those charges. They were utterly ridiculous.
20 years, almost 20 years. On the 8th of August this year, it will be exactly 20 years. I have suffered so much, humiliation, being shunned by people, vilification, you name it. So much so, I ran away from the public. I find solace in becoming a farmer.
At that point of time, when we met Hamid Omar, the only allegation against Salleh when he was suspended was that the king was very unhappy with him over that letter. So that was the only allegation. So if that is the case, you shouldn't be sitting, because there will be a conflict of interest, because you are party to the decision. How can you sit? Now, Hamid Omar made a startling remark. First he said, Param, I've been very harsh. I said, oh, we are going through very harsh times. I'm sorry if you think that what I'm suggesting is quite harsh. Then he said something which was most shocking. He said, if I don't accept the appointment, I'll be sacked. If I am sacked, will you or your bar council compensate the loss of my remuneration? I said, Tan Sri, I'm most surprised that such remarks are coming from you as Chief Justice of Malaya. You and I know that in this country the king is a constitutional monarch and he acts on advice. How can you say that he'll sack you? I said, oh, you don't know him. If you want, you go and tell him. You go and tell him. You go and advise him. And I will buy you dinner. That's how he said.
Salleh and lawyers are never close. Right. He's a very aloof person. We didn't represent Tun Salleh because he was our friend. Right. We represented him because we thought that it was not right for the executive, particularly the Prime Minister, to dictate to the judiciary. It was wrong for him to use Parliament to run down judges, for example. So we defended him on that basis. In fact, I'm not sure whether you could look at it as if we are very close with him. That's why we defended. That was not the case at all. I think it's a matter of principle with us.
From then on, there is no longer rule of law. The rule of jungle being applied. As far as we are concerned, there is no rule of law anymore. I suffered the most because I was young. Happened to be. Because when I became High Court judge, I was among the youngest to be appointed. When I was appointed as Federal Court judge, I was among the youngest. So I had to stay on for 10 years. 88 I was suspended and then restored, found not guilty. Then I go back. Everybody was saying, including most reporters saying, oh, it's okay lah, at least he get his job back. But that's not the point. The point when I go back, I don't have the same image as before. I wanted to be there. I don't know what I could do, but at least to be a pain in the neck to the new Lord President, which actually happened. So with the result that I was never put in the quorum to hear important cases where the rule of law or the basic principle of law is being argued, because they want to ignore all these things. So what happened to me? I could have resigned, but I wouldn't. Because I thought this might be God's way of asking me to do this job. We human are like that when we think of God. Finally, we think of God.
Talk to PM again tomorrow morning, put Dato' Amar Fairuz in CJM. Don't fall, even the press asked, he said, I leave it to God. Yeah, I will also get Tansi, remind PM to put their Tansiship this year lah. We want to make sure our friends are there for the sake of PM and for the sake of the country. Not for our own interest, We want to make sure the country comes out well. You suffer so much you have done.
This video clip really shows how they were working. The very name, the V.K. Lingam himself, his close connections with Mahathir Mohamad, with earlier with Yusuf Chin, now with Fairuz, all confirmed what we did.
And when this particular institution has been manipulated, particularly during the Mahathir era, then what recourse do ordinary men and women have when they appear before the courts seeking justice?
Debates and arguments on the state of our judiciary have been heated and protracted. Some of the Malay rulers have openly voiced their disquiet on what they see as a decline, requiring nothing short of a judicial renaissance. The government is proposing the setting up of a judicial appointment commission